Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raquel Tolson, and this podcast is here to help you experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. And you guys already know I'm a firm believer that being blessed is a mindset. We have to make a daily decision to be blessed. It's not about what you have or who you have in your life. It's just your decision. So if you're ready to be encouraged, enlightened, and entertained, then you are in the right place. I am broadcasting on WYTV7, and we are a nonprofit Christian radio broadcast with the mission to empower, encourage, and educate. So if you are enjoying the Blessed Podcast, please go to www.wytv7.org and hit the donate button. Every little bit helps. $10 may not seem like a lot to you, but if everybody did it, we can further the mission to get the people what they need. Okay, and we are sponsored by Tolson's Publishing. So go and go to tolsonbooks.com and look at all the offerings that Tolson Books has for you. Fiction, nonfiction, and children's picture books. We are in the month of March, and we are celebrating all things women. So I'm going to bring you 5 different beautiful ladies to tell you about their story, to talk about what they're doing, and just so they can share just how blessed they really are, okay? Because women, this is our time. This is our time. This is our time. Yay, Vice President Kamala. So welcome, everyone. Sandra Callier. Am I saying your last name right, Sandra?
I say Callier, but
Callier?
Whatever.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
However you say it, I'm going to say it like you, Callier.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. I know that you're an author, you're an educator, you are a poet, but what else is, special about Sandra?
Well, I love music. I'm really an introvert. I really don't like talking for real, but I have been journaling probably over 15 years. Just journaling my thoughts, and it was very cathartic, just a difficult time in my life, and writing just became my escape. And from that, I was able to create my first fiction, nonfiction story. And I had an opportunity for it to be picked up by Trinity Broadcast Network, their publishing company, Trilogy Publishing. So I just got those in the mail on yesterday, and it will be coming out on March 16th. And I'm so excited about that. It's a story that's over 20 years old, and I had given up on it, and I had convinced myself nobody cared. And of course, everybody has that one cheerleader in their corner, one of my girlfriends, and she wouldn't let the story die. And she encouraged me to go to a writing conference. I wrote the book, and we did an indie project together, and it got picked up, as I said. So now it's done on a professional level, and it's available at all media outlets. I'm just so excited, and that's what I want to do. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So you said a lot of stuff that I got to go back and touch on. But before I go and touch on some of the stuff about the book, let's talk about, you work with special education.
Yes,
correct?
I was a substitute teacher for several years. Well, let me back up. I started out as a social worker. Well, I started out as a volunteer. That's what I was.
Oh, okay.
I volunteered for the court system. And in order to do that, I would have to maintain relationships with young people that did not have parents or didn't have successful adult relationships. And so, I was that go to court with them, take them to job interviews, encourage them to, look for careers and go to school, just being that person for them. And so
that cheerleader that you were talking about earlier, you were that
person. I did that for a couple of years. And as I sat in these meetings, I would always wonder why everybody on one side of the table looked like me and everybody on the other side of the table looked like somebody else. And then I started to read the statistics as to how many of them were going back home and how many of us were not. And so the Lord said, okay, so now I want you to go to school. So then I went to school, and my son was born with a stroke. So
Mm,
he was, what you call, I would say from birth, I've just always, it changed the trajectory of my life from being a more of a career driven person to being more of a caregiver.
right,
And
right.
so it just introduced me to a lot of new things. And I just happen to love working with families
Mhm.
and people. And I didn't see them as numbers as I transitioned into social work. I
Okay.
became a social worker for the state and worked in child abuse, neglect. And I just had a chance to meet so many wonderful people that were just going through a difficult
A
time.
difficult time, and that's like really interesting because we really do need more people like that in the
Mhm.
system. Because it's one thing when you are, because the churches and the neighborhoods and families can be there, but when you actually have somebody in the system that has
Mhm.
your back, it
Mhm.
makes a difference. I'm
Mhm.
sure it makes a huge difference. I actually used to work as an attorney,
Mhm.
in for women. Used to represent women who their children were taken away from them.
Oh, wow.
And then so we had to
Oh,
jump through all the hoops because there are a
mm.
lot of hoops
Yes.
that people have to go through that regular people don't have to go through to keep
Yes.
their, to have their kids, but to get your kids back, you got to go through all these hoops.
Mm,
And
mm,
so I used to, go to court with them and just kind of encourage and all that stuff. And
mm,
I think it really helped to have somebody on their side,
mm,
and I was just there as an attorney,
mm,
so I wasn't there when her kids, somebody would bring the kids to her and all that stuff. And just,
mm,
it's, there are, there are a lot of places where children of God need to be. Let me put it that way.
mm,
I love the church, but people have to realize our ministry is outside of the church. The church
yes.
is where we can go to get charged up and and have some fun and and be social with people, that like-minded people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But our true ministry is
Mm-hmm.
outside of the church
Yes.
walls. And
Yes.
so it's important for us to take jobs where
Mm-hmm.
we know that people are hurting,
Mm-hmm.
because if we're not there,
Mm.
who's the person to tell them that it's okay? Who's the person there to say you can make it? And I just appreciate you, Sandra, that you were there for people because it's important.
It was one of the most, I will say, I knew through prayer, the Lord said you were going to be in a job that you really love, but you weren't going to stay very long. And that's what happened. I really loved my job, but it will consume your life because you never get off. I had a baby that had cancer, and I had a young man that needed a heart transplant. And
Mm.
this big old Paul Bunyan, 16-year-old throwing a tantrum at the high school and wouldn't listen to anyone. And unless you call Miss Callier, I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So they become more than numbers to me. I've had a chance to speak at some of my baby's funerals. I've had a chance to sit with some of them at some of the low points of their life after I was no longer with the agency. They still reach out to me. They still call me and ask me for Pampers or a shirt for their baby. And
Yeah.
if I can do it, they know Miss Callier is going to do it. Because to me, my job was to help people in crisis. It wasn't to say, look at you and look at me. And that
Right.
wasn't what it was for. It was, I was a servant. My job was to serve them. I was a public servant and I loved my job, and I
Yeah.
love serving people. So listen, so after I had an accident, I could no longer do that particular job anymore. Then I became a substitute teacher in my neighborhood. So all the kids I had on my caseload, I started seeing them in the schools. They were
Yeah.
like, no, you didn't quit and come to these kids. When I was looking for you, I needed you. So it was always wonderful to be a part of a community
Mhm.
and a bigger thing that I would see kids that were like, no, don't embarrass me and speak. And we would have a whole conversation without having a conversation. And I would never uncover anyone unless they make known that they wanted to have a conversation with me. I would never say, oh, well, I had a case for you, or
Right.
I,
Right.
and so they ask you in the beginning, do you want to work in your neighborhood or not? And I wanted to work in my neighborhood. I wanted to have an impact in my community. So
I like
that's
it.
how it all started when I went to the school and I began to see all of these. Oh my God, it was the most challenging thing ever. I was junior high school. And I
Mm.
subbed at all of the junior highs and high school in my neighborhood. So I
Yeah.
did that for 4 years. And I
Wow.
was like, oh my God, I saw so many gifted, talented, beautiful, engaged young people. But I also saw the element where you may ask a group of people, what do you plan to do when you get out of here, and you don't get a response? Because do you have any hope? Do you look like you've been chewing nails all night? Do you know anything besides
Right.
cussing and being disrespectful? Can we
Mm.
have a conversation? Like, I like to get in their face and talk to them. They think I'm crazy, but by the time I get through rapping, singing my rap song, then we all friends. So I love music too. That tell you that I got a rap song on iTunes. I love
Really?
young people, and I put it out probably. I when I first got started, I got hit by a truck.
Oh
Nobody
my.
will believe me. But
Mm.
what happened was when I first put the song out, first put my book out, I got wiped off the scene. And so now I'm just back fresh. So there's a lot of things I've already done. Nobody got a chance to enjoy it because I was off having this moment. But you know
Right.
how the enemy think he gonna do it. But he just made double trouble. So now it's going around the world instead of just around to my friends. Okay.
Right. Right. Okay, so I need you to show your book again. Let's talk about 90-Day Anointing,
Yes.
Chronicles of Ascent 1. I love it.
Yes.
You said that it was fiction and nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
So you did like a memoir, but you did it in a fiction to protect the names of the innocent, correct? Or the
Yes,
not
I
safe.
turned it into a whimsical story, but
Mhm.
every line is true, every incident is true, but the names were changed to protect the innocent. Just a
And
little
not
bit
so
of embellishment on their personalities
yeah.
to make them stand out as individuals. I don't know how I knew how to do any of that. This is almost 200 pages, but the Lord sent me around the world on a trip for 90 days. And this tells about everything that happened to me on that trip.
A
I
90.
didn't know
Okay.
anyone. I didn't have any money. I didn't have no connection. I just knew the voice of the Lord told me to go. I
It
was
was
a
a
single
90-day
parent,
trip.
90 days around the world, a black
Okay.
missionary.
So I know that we have to read the book to find out all the 90 days, but give me the craziest place and that you went to in that 90
Okay.
days.
I will tell you, okay, so because I am a spiritual person, this was a spiritual trip. So there was at some point I was there during the Easter, holidays. And
Right.
so I never have been to any kind of church except a Baptist church. Okay. We clapping and
Okay.
slapping in. Now, when I get over there, they got harmonicas and ukuleles. Like, this is like, are you crazy? But guess what? The Holy Spirit, he doesn't care. I still could feel the move of God. It didn't make a difference that nobody looked like me. Nothing sounded like familiar, but the Holy Spirit was familiar. So
Yes.
I goes to, they were taking me through these different monuments. They had statues that were so tall that the knees were up to a ceiling. Like, I've never seen anything like
Now,
it.
where was this?
This was in Brussels, Belgium. I'm sorry.
Oh,
The
Brussels.
architecture is so beautiful. They have churches with gargoyles on them. Like, I can't believe it. Like, the architecture is one of the most beautiful, most detailed places you will ever see. Like, every door and window in every house is different on a street. Like, they go out of their way to be unique. It was just a very beautiful city. But as
Right.
I was sharing, you were talking about something unusual that happened. So I be talking, it's so many things that happened to
Just
me.
one thing that's
It's like
unusual
I'm
because
trying
we
to stick,
almost gotta go. So we
but
almost
these
out of time.
people were worshiping these idols. Like, I never saw anything like it before. Like, it was scores and scores of people lighting candles, crying, weeping, laying on the ground. All of these idols, gods, like, I just never, it was so chilling, but it was so beautiful because these people took time to chisel these huge idols out of stone and ivory and different marble, and they're beautiful, but they're all different saints to saint this. They're all 97, 98% Roman Catholic. So That's how this country is. It's a very different atmosphere because there's not a lot of Christendom there. So the atmosphere is very dark and it's very woo, and you think you think it makes a difference, but when you have a godless nation, you can feel it. It's very, very different. But I was around those fire talking tongue baptized old ladies, but for them to take me to experience this, it was something I've never seen before. To have people worshiping idols, big, huge idols, big ivory towers where people were standing on them, ones that they made out of different saints that they have crucified or killed in days past, and that they just worship that is just really weird to me. But it was very interesting. And like I said, I saw so much different architecture. To them, church is not the same as here. It's a sect. They call it something different. So it was a whole different experience. But
I'm sure. So out of the 90 days, how many places you didn't go to 90 different places. You just went for 90 days. How many places did you end up going total?
I went to France. I went to a couple of cities in France. I went to Germany. I went to the Netherlands. I was in Brussels, Belgium, and I traveled in different villages around in those areas, speaking and teaching, sharing my testimony. I really didn't know what I was going to do. I just followed the voice of the Lord. I didn't have a script. I didn't know. I just knew he was real. I know he told me to go. And I was like, man, if you real, I'm getting ready to find out. Because I worked at Procter & Gamble. I was Fortune 500. I was making nice money. I had a stable life, and I was a single mom and had a successful relationship. And I was had gotten off of drugs. I had been on drugs a lot of my early life, from sex trauma, just different things. But I had been clean for a couple of years. But I was really focused on cleaning up my life and stop putting up different masks and being authentic with myself and pouring out all of the garbage and finding out why was I on drugs, what was wrong with me, why was I broken, what was broken, and that all of this writing and things was happening during that time. So at that time, after a couple of years, I developed the ability to hear and become sensitive with the Holy Spirit. And he began to talk to me, and I would talk back, and he would tell me stuff to do, and I would do it, and stuff would happen. And I was like, wow, I didn't know. At first, I've been to church all my life. I didn't know it was really real. But at some point,
that is so awesome that you just did that.
I didn't. I was almost 30. I was like, who do? I had no clue. And then one day,
everybody, you know what? But a lot of people, I say that's one in my book. You know, it's like we go to church, we learn all these scriptures, we can recite them, we can shame people with the scriptures. You know how we cut people with the scriptures. We can do all that. But in all honesty, we don't believe the scriptures. And it comes at you like a whoosh. You don't even believe what you're talking about. So what is happening right now? Let's get down to the root of it. You don't believe what you even saying. And it's like, there's no faith. We don't have faith. Like I was just telling somebody, I'm one of those people that really believe that I can do all things. Sometimes I have some confident issues, but for the most part, I really believe that I can do all things. And that's kind of scary to the people around me. Because they like,
that's why you speaking a foreign language, because to a lot of people, faith is just a word.
Yes.
But it's not. You can walk on it. You can stand on it. You can put all your weight on it. But you'll never know if you keep skinny dipping. You got to get on in the water.
If you keep, doing what you can do in your power and not stepping out in faith that God gonna send all the other stuff that you need. And I'm not saying it's coming from heaven. No. Because we are God's hands. And God, we are the expression of God. So God is going to send somebody with the thing that you need, whether it be money or if it be food, a place to live, whatever, and it's like, but we don't believe it. It's like, if I can't do it, I don't want to, I'm not going to do that because I can't see how I can do it.
So let me give you this example how he showed me. Yeah. And this is one of the illustrations in the book. One day, I don't really have dreams, but he gave me this vision that I was painting this floor.
Mm-hmm.
black and white, black and white. You know, I was making it beautiful. And I got to the last square and he was like, well, so how are you going to get out of the room? And I was thinking like, man, the door is over there. And he said that last square I was standing on was my life, meaning that I had my life was so comfortable and insulated, I didn't have no room for him.
Wow.
He had to make some room. He had to take away a lot of the things that I was comfortable and familiar with so that I could become dependent, so I could find out that his word was true.
Mm-hmm.
And see, many people are not willing to let go something they already got in their hands.
Yeah.
But you can't, let's like on a monkey bars. You swinging, you doing good, but you cannot move if you don't reach out to something else. You got to let go of what you already got so you can grab a hold to something else. Yeah. So I had a job, I had a child, I had a relationship, I had stability, but what I did not have was a relationship with an unseen God. Mm-hmm. And so that room represented, this is all I could do for myself. I had already done that. Mm-hmm. So if you want to come out of this, now you got to shed all of what you know, and you got to walk into something altogether different. So different means it's not going to be familiar. Right. Different means he going to start me over. When I get over there, at some point, he tell me to go home and get some character. Mm-hmm. Here I'm getting paid to speak, $1,000, 15, 20 women paying me. I don't know anything. I'm just going, telling them my story. And after a while, Lord said, you love this kind of life. I'm like, yeah. He's like, now go home and get some character. I'm like, well, what home? So now I got to humble myself, to go back for people to laugh, talk about me, call me a fool, call my faith walk a lie. I couldn't really explain it. For years, I just sat around. Like, to me, I thought I was crazy. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe I was a fanatic. Maybe don't take all of that. It was driving me nuts. I thought it was something wrong with me, and I was trying to make myself be like everybody else, but it didn't work. So it isolated me to a point to where I knew I just shut up talking, because obviously what I thought I knew, that wasn't it. Everything I thought I knew, it went out the window. So now I got to start over from nothing. I don't have a car. I don't have a credit. I don't have a house. I don't have a kid. I don't have a job. Now God say, now who are you? You're not no mom. Maybe I didn't want you to have a baby at them when you did that. He said, did you ever ask me anything about your life? I never did. I never asked him anything. I did what I wanted to do. I worked where I wanted to work. I went out who I wanted to go out with. I never asked his wisdom about nothing in my life. I went to church, but I did not see him as the head of my life, as the Lord of my life, as the Father in my life. I did not see that. But as I got closer to him and began to read the word and began to be a doer of the word, he began to clear up my vision and show me that I didn't understand at the time. I just didn't want the pain, the humiliation, and the embarrassment. But he was looking at the fact, he was tearing down all of the tradition, all of the idols, all of the beliefs, all of these false things that I had grew to be a part, that built a whole life for me, that now he just snatched the rug from under me. So when I was having this conversation, he said, I'm going to give you a new life, but he didn't tell me he was going to start me from nothing. I thought I was going to get it when I got there, but that's not what happened. Right. When I got to Europe, to me, it looked like he took me on a whirlwind trip. Me and him showed me the world. He took me on, I was living the life. And he said, nah, go home. Now, and from that, I had to live off of that experience for almost 20 something years. Because it was barren after that. So it's been 20 some years. That's why my name Abrahama, not Abraham. But this is all about faith. It's active. It's active. It's not just words. It's something that I had to live. And so now I get a chance to teach pastors all over the world about it. God is opening doors. I'm telling you, the book is not even out yet. I already have 1,000 ready to go. I'm telling you, all overseas, God is just moving all over the world. So let me tell you, he told me I was going to be an author. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I had no interest in writing, but what he did, he broke me down so bad. I had to start writing to activate the gift of me being a prophetic scribe to generate a story to tell.
Right. That is
He
so
gave
awesome.
me a story.
Yeah.
But I had to wait almost 20 years to tell it,
Well,
because I was so broken from what happened as a result of it. He had to rebuild me all the way back up to now. I know he's real. I know he'll do it, but it might take you 25 years. It might.
And that's it. And the thing is, what people have to realize, there's, that time don't mean nothing for God. God, when that gray patch in your hair, that don't mean nothing to God. God,
let me tell you something. This got here. This came from 2 years praying in the house from 30-some years old. And it's been up there all that time, still the same spot.
It's so funny, but it's like
it's 99, the same spot.
Yeah.
That's God did that. I went in the house, I put my head in that Bible. When I came out, this is what happened. And it's been there for 20 years, the same spot. That's all it grew right there in the front.
That's something.
I'm telling you, people don't believe me. I'm telling you, God is real. You see stuff in the Bible, the glory of God to come on you. That's not fake. That's real. But people will tap into it because they're trying to get a blessing and run. They want a quarter, but God want to give you the bag. You feel me?
And you know what? And then we like almost out of time. And that's like the main thing I want people to realize, that we are blessed, not because of the things that God has, blessed us with the stuff, but it's just the fact that we can be so connected to God, if we are still, and when we listen for his voice, he tell us, he really does order our steps. Like, that's just not a song. That's just not about it. He really does. He will send the right people at the right time. Now, what we may think, oh, it took me 20 years to get what I desire. Well, it's not because God said no. It's because we were hindering it. He was ready for us to have it, but we weren't ready for it. And God not going to give us anything that's going to destroy us. So with that, where can the people go get your book? Because we have to go. Where can they go get your book?
Okay, my book is at Amazon. The Kindle is the only pre-order on Amazon, but the hard copies, I have a limited few, but it will be available at Barnes & Nobles, all of the outlets. You'll be able to get it March 16th. But right now you can get it at S. Callier Publishing on my Square site. Minds Over the Midwest is available as my ministry. So you can go on my Facebook page or my Instagram page, and all of the links are available for you to pick it up. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I'm so
the
excited.
Hard copies will be out March 16th. Right now it's only Kindle. But the hard copies you can get from me for the next couple of weeks on a pre-order, but they're limited, and a couple of people are already ordering. So if you want one, get them. They're going fast.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Sandra. I appreciate you. And for everybody out there, go and look Sandra up so you can pre-order the book, or you get it on March 15th. Thank you. Remember, what God has done for others, he will do the same thing for you. He is real, and he is waiting for you to hear his voice. You guys be blessed.
Swing Into Their Dreams Foundation presents the golf tournament of the year, raising scholarships for aspiring National Golf Club in Milton, Georgia. The inaugural HBCU Swing Into Their Dreams Charity Golf Tournament. Registration and gourmet continental breakfast begins at 8 a.m. and shotgun at 10 a.m. Award reception follows. Come enjoy a day of jazz, mimosa, cigars, cash bar, silent auction, and more. For more information, contact 770-686-7143. Don't miss it.